Pura vida! It's Rob here. So I want to do another video on photo tips and explain some of the strategies and techniques and whatnot. You know, people ask me all the time for ways to get better in photography and what have you. So I did a video a couple of weeks ago. It was quite popular. I'll put the replay in the link if you want to watch that. I think it's pretty good. So when I teach Photography 101, I actually teach in my city a course through the local library. It's a volunteer thing, and I call it Love of Photography. And I often tell people, say, I don't teach following the typical academic approach. You know, if you go, people have told me, they say, oh, this is so much better than when I went and took the night course. Because when they take the night course, they go through every single detail on how a camera works and all this blah, 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 blah. I basically push the idea that you got to learn how to see, and then you'll develop your style. And it takes discipline, it takes work, it takes, it's not that hard to do. You just got to bring your camera with you and stop and think about the stuff that I'm teaching you. And when you see a potential scenario, think about it and apply composition, look at lighting, and look at your subject matter, okay? This is really important. So one thing in the last video I talked about quite a bit, and I'm going to go through this again, is composition. And I rewatched the video and I thought, yeah, I kind of thought I did an okay job. And but one thing I want to remind everybody, and this sort of came to my mind as I was rewatching the video, I thought, composition, like people want to find the way. How do I do this? And composition is just one strategy, but it's not dyed in the wool fact. It's not like scientific fact. So sometimes composition is intuitive. If you give your 5-year-old or a 5-year-old a camera and say, hey, go out in the yard or run around and take some pictures, and then when they come back, a large part of their images are going to be intuitive because that's the way a 5-year-old thinks. I tried that with my daughter when she was five or six, and it was amazing, the stuff she created. So you really, in many ways, you want to tap into that 5-year-old level of thinking and tap into the intuitive. One way to do that is to master the strategies and sort of the science behind it, but then you want to forget about it so that you can shoot intuitively. So I know it sounds kind of weird, but stay with me and keep working. So I'm going to touch on composition again. So here's a bird. A couple of parrots were squawking away in front of the coast here on Tamarindo Beach. You might know, if you're from this area, you know where it is. It used to be called Casa Cook. Now it's called the Coast. It's kind of a boutique casita hotel. And lately there's been parrots there. You can hear them squawking. So I was there waiting to photograph a family, and I got there a little early, and these birds were making a racket. So, so I took out my big lens. So yeah, I often tell people, use your cell phone. And again, watch the previous video that all the cell phone shots, and I'm going to show you a lot of cell phone shots. But if you want to expand, you know, you want to get a telephoto lens or a good zoom. Oh, by the way, I have a replay on my photography website, my Sudbury-based photography website called westmountphotography.com. I'll put the link to that in the replay. I've got a series of videos. You want to watch those. One of those videos is, what is the best camera to use? Check it out. So, okay, I'm going to shut up now and get into this. So I'm going to click on the different composition. And here again, I mentioned this before, we have the rule of thirds. Now this is not exactly rule of thirds. As you can tell, the intersection, there's a narrow strip in the middle and in the middle. So the idea is I don't know what the math is behind this. I'm not sure. Could be based on the Fibonacci ratio. I'm not sure, but you have the intersection of these 4 points, and in those 4 points is where we have the optimum points to place your subject. Okay, let me go through. Okay, I couldn't remember which. So here we have the golden spiral, and let me rotate these around. I've talked about this. And it's one of the composition. And when I shot the bird, I automatically, without thinking, I use these composition techniques. There's the rule of thirds. And I'm roughly in that. So as you can see, the bird is in the bottom with a lot of space on top. That to me makes sense because it shows space and it just fills out the the image nicely. You got that negative space on top, so if I had to put the bird smack dab in the middle, it would be boring. So, yeah. And by the way, it's open shade late in the day. If there would have been sun blotches, I would probably not even have shot it. The lighting would have been crap. So yeah, lighting is pretty important. I'm not going to get too deep into lighting, but I urge you to watch my videos that I put in my blog. They're short and to the point, but I'll probably do some more later on lighting, but I'm sticking with composition and subject matter. This is not a great image. I just thought this was funny because we were driving home one day and all the traffic got stopped because cows were crossing the road, and that was such a Costa Rica thing. So there's no real value to this image insofar as that's concerned, other than the fact that it's a local scene. And I thought, well, let's grab my camera. By the time I got my camera out, the cows were crossed. I wanted to get a picture of them crossing the road, but I missed it. However, there's 2 points I want to bring out in that. I like to do a lot of blog posts on social media and on my website, and this would be a good image if I were to do a blog post about what goes on here in Costa Rica. And this is the kind of thing, if you're never been here, you're not here, this would be like, what? Wow, that's amazing. So sometimes I take pictures just for the newsy or editorial, even though it's kind of a crappy image. Same here. The same day we're coming back, and I thought this was funny. You got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6. Yeah, there's a little child. There are 2 children and 4 adults in this back of this car. You would never, ever see that in Canada. So this shot and the last shot, I had seconds to grab the shot. So yeah, they really are interesting in that respect to go along with an editorial commentary or a blog post. So that's the only reason I put these in here. Okay, so here's another shot with the beach. So it's middle of the day, the shadows are strong, the sun's kind of blaring, and I kind of thought it was cool the way the tide was rolling in. And you can see rule of thirds, and basically I automatically put the horizon on the upper third, 2/3, 1/3 down. It's a little bit tilted, you can see here, the horizon, but I can fix that in Photoshop. So this was taken not with my cell phone. You can tell the cell phone images have a different ratio. They're narrower. So, but anyways, here we have different composition. I still don't know what those other ones mean. Maybe someday I'll figure it out. Maybe I'll get back to you on that. So this is rule of thirds. So think in rule of thirds. If you apply a strong subject matter with composition, your images are going to improve drastically. So here's a shot. I just thought this was interesting. Late in the day, in front of the coast is an area on Tamarindo Beach where we like to hang out quite a bit. And I just noticed that it was kind of cool. You have the horses going by, and I got the foreground, middle ground, and background. So the foreground, along with the composition, so you could see basically we got the horizon down on the lower third, and then we got the trees on the upper third, and we have foreground, which is the fence and the trees, and then the middle ground is the people and horses receding off into the background. So when you do that, when you apply those kinds of strategies, you create what's called depth. Okay, it's very interesting. You'll see that in movies quite a bit. Same here. I was walking to the beach. This was with my cell phone. I just thought it was neat. I thought, oh, that's just a nice scene. I really like the lighting. So I'll touch on lighting really quick. So we got 3 tones in lighting. I've mentioned this before. There's true tone, which is the true tone. Then there's shadows and highlights. Shadows are false tones. Highlights are false tones. So when you look at, say, this is a false tone right here because it's white. Now that's not the color of the water. The water's not white. See right here? That's called a specular highlight. So it's a false tone. And same with the shadow. This is not the color of this palm tree right here. This is not the color of this tree. That's not the color of the car. They're all in shadow. So they're false tones. However, they're very, very important when you understand shadows and highlights. I think the most important tone myself is the shadow. because it's the thing that lifts. It's like a surfer on a big wave. Well, what's really creating the wave? It's all that force below the water that you don't see. It's kind of corny, I know. So excuse me for getting a little metaphorical on you here. So we have composition, more or less. Well, maybe the Fibonacci golden ratio is the one here. But I thought it had motion and it was interesting. And I mentioned this before. Anytime you have darkness like this, when you have a silhouette, it's very dramatic when the lighting is coming from behind. Same image, black and white. I did 2 images. I just was having fun. I thought it worked. Here's the trail to the beach, and you can see here that we have you have what's called diagonal and S-curve. So the trail curves. I put the point where the trail recedes. You don't know where it's going, so it creates a little bit of mystery. It's not a super exciting image, but I'm pointing out the composition here, and you can see that the trail recedes, and it's like, so where's it going? It makes you wonder. But look at the top portion where the sky and some of the ground is in, and that's where the area of attention goes to, which means that the trail is going somewhere. We don't know exactly where it's going. And you have the, let me just color that in for you. Hold on. You have S-curve. See how it curves? Hold on, let me just make this smaller. This is like an S. And this is like an S. And it's diagonal. So these are important things to note when you're trying to use composition. Here's a shot at sunset. I think probably the same day. And I got nice and low and I shot it vertically. Foreground, middle ground, background. Sand, the rocks on the beach, then the ocean, and then the sunset. We got the strong rule of thirds. Sunset's way in the upper quadrant, and it's dark down below, so it's an interesting angle. And I got really low on purpose in order to create this. Same idea, same day, and we have the surfboard, and we have strong compositional values going on here. Sort of. Let's look at this. I keep going to the Fibonacci one. So the surfboard is backlit, as well as the beach and the water and everything else, because the sun's right there. The sun's a little bit off center, and we got a diagonal with the surfboard. Diagonal always creates movement. It's interesting. So sometimes, if it's straight linear, it works as well. Doesn't mean diagonal always has to be the case, but there you have it. Classic scene here in Costa Rica, and we have let's go rule of thirds. So the horizons on the bottom quadrant, we got 2 people walking, we got the sun just about smack dab in the middle. If I wanted to improve this, if I love this shot, say I wanted to blow it up, I probably would put the sun exactly in the middle, right at 50% in the middle, just to make it a little more balanced out. Maybe, in theory. So try and find ways to compose your image. This is the rocks by where a lot of the surfers hang out, and especially when it's high tide. Just past the Diria. And I was just walking by and I noticed I've never seen this before. I've been coming here for forever, and I've never seen that many pelicans on those rocks. And so I grabbed my phone and I zoomed in. When you zoom in with a cell phone, the image degrades because it just cuts in on the resolution. So, however, I thought it was interesting because of all the birds. I just grabbed the shot, and it's kind of a silhouette. But again, I'm always thinking in terms of composition. Rule of thirds being sort of mundane, but very, very, very popular. All right, that's boring. Okay, that's just a trail. Let's skip past that. So we were walking to Hacienda Pinilla, and we're at our friends, and I'm doing shots on the way there just for fun. And Gerald walk ahead of me, and grab this shot. So you can see the S curve. I like the S curve. It's a mystery. Where's he going? It's obviously a dude. And I waited for him to just sort of be stepping into that shadow right there. See? He's almost there, so he pops out because of the lighting coming off his hat and all that stuff. So it's just a snapshot with my phone. Same here, without the person. Same here, a little bit closer. And let's go to rule of thirds. It's over to the left. Diagonal line going, not diagonal, well, sort of diagonal, yeah. The road, the trail, whatever you want to call it, a gravel road, dusty road, recedes right off into the wherever. If you've ever taken that road, it's kind of crazy because you got this herd of cows back there, and they're really weird. They look at you kind of strange. Same idea. There's my wife with our friend Jean. So you can see the S curve. I turned around, I saw them, and oh, nice picture. And I pulled my cell phone out, grabbed it really quick. And this one fits right into pretty much the Fibonacci. So yeah, we got, again, the rule of thirds with the horizon right on the bottom, and we got them positioned in the Fibonacci golden ratio. And we got the road is curving. You notice that? The road is curving, so it creates motion. And here's a classic sunset scene. Nothing special. This was shot from Noogie's, which is my favorite place to go in Costa Rica, Tamarindo, for happy hour and enjoy the sunset. So the horizon's a little bit tilted. If I wanted to, use this for whatever, I'd go in and straighten it up in Photoshop. I try and keep my horizon as straight as I can when I'm shooting pictures, but sometimes I miss it. And one more shot about parrots. Same parrot that I showed you earlier. And we have rule of thirds working with us here. Bird's head is almost at that intersection. But what's important in this composition is that the bird is off to the left and there's space to the right. So it's got breathing room. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? Anyways, I hope this gives you something to think about. So do watch the replay, links in the description below. And if you have any questions or if you have any images you want me to analyze, scrutinize, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. All right, talk to you later.